Last time I asked, what Pokemon evolves at the highest level? For the longest time, that answer would have been Dragonair and Pupitar, who evolve into their final form at level 55. But it's crazy that somebody since then has beaten them. Zweilous evolves into Hydreigon at level 64. What? Now on with today's episode. Professor Pokemon with everything you ever wanted to know about Beedrill. Beedrill, the Poison Bee Pokemon, is number 15 in the Kanto Dex, number 29 in the Johto Dex, and number 28 in the Central Kalos Dex. Beedrill carries over its typing from Weedle and Kakuna of Bug and Poison, making its strengths and weaknesses look like this. Other things it carries over from Kakuna are it is part of the Bug egg group, has a 50-50 male to female ratio, and a medium fast leveling rate. Beedrill has the ability Swarm, which is basically the Bug-type equivalent to Overgrow, Blaze, and Torrent. Basically, Swarm boosts the power of Bug-type moves when the Pokemon's HP gets low. Outside of battle in Pokemon Emerald, if a Pokemon with this ability is the front member of your party, then you will hear more wild Pokemon cries in the overworld. And then in Emerald onwards, if a Pokemon with Swarm leads your party, the wild Pokemon encounter rate of all Pokemon is doubled. It shares that trait with Illuminate and Arena Trap. Beedrill's hidden ability is Sniper, whose critical hit attacks do 1.5 times the normal critical hit damage. Beedrill is 3'3" or 1 meter and weighs 65 pounds or 29.5 kilograms. Beedrill's stats show that attack is the highest, although its special defense is not far behind. Its EV yield will give you +2 in attack and +1 in special defense, which is actually quite a unique stat distribution. In Gen 1, Beedrill's special stat was 45. That definitely caught my eye seeing what its special defense is now. It almost doubled. Now let's see where you can find a Beedrill in the games. Starting in Kanto, Beedrill can be found in Silver on Route 2, but only in the morning, Soul Silver on Route 2 in the morning and at night, as well as the Viridian Forest in the morning only. And in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in the Viridian Forest. In Johto, Beedrill can be found in Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver. In the Ore region, and the Cypher Key lair, battling Cypher Peon Lock will give you the opportunity to capture a Shadow Beedrill and Pidgeotto. Both will be level 30. Moving into Unova, Beedrill can be found on Route 12 in the Rustling Grass and Black. And then in Black 2, it can be found in the Pinwheel Forest and the Hidden Grotto. And lastly, Alola. Beedrill can be found on Route 4 through an island scan, but only on Thursday. If you encounter a Beedrill, it will have a capture rate of 45 or 11.9%. Beedrill, as you can imagine, is a stylized bee or wasp, although it more closely resembles an Asian giant hornet. Breaking down Beedrill's name, you get bee, obviously, and drill, referring to its needle-like arms. In Japan, you get spear, but I guess they'd pronounce it like spia or something. Am I close? Which just means spear. Its French name is really interesting. Most of its name comes from, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, I apologize in advance, de Arctognan, which is named after Charles de Batz de Castlemore, also known as de Arctognan, and later Count de Arctognan, who was a French musketeer who served under King Louis XIV as captain of the Musketeers of the Guard. In case you were wondering about musketeers, yes, a fictionalized account of his life was used as one of the main characters in Alexandre Dumas' story, The Three Musketeers. You can also pull out of its name Sting and Hastily, in French of course. In German, it's pretty much the same name as English, but in German. Their word for bee and then their word for drill. And then in Korean, the first part of its name means stinger, or literally venom needle, and then the second part of its name you can either get the onomatopoeia for buzzing, or their word for bee. Now let's move on to Dex entries. Most Dex entries mention its 3 stingers. Pokemon Stadium says, flies at high speeds and attacks with 3 stingers, 1 on its rear and 1 on each of its 2 forelegs, may appear in swarms. Yellow pretty much says the same thing, but it also mentions they are used to jab its enemy repeatedly. Silver and Soul Silver specifically mention the tail stinger. It has 3 poison barbs. The barb on its tail secretes the most powerful venom. Now, I know I mentioned appearing in swarms already, but I liked this entry from X. May appear in a swarm, flies at violent speeds, all the while stabbing with the toxic stinger on its rear. This one probably does the best at describing just how threatening Beedrill is. If it were actually real, I mean. And lastly, the Hoenn region games say, Beedrill is extremely territorial. No one should ever approach its nest. This is for their own safety. If angered, they will attack in a furious swarm. Other things I want to mention about Beedrill are, they take care of Weedle and Kakuna, obviously, and will protect them at all costs. The stingers on its forearms allows it to use its former signature move, Twin Needle. Up until Gen 5, this was a move that was exclusive only to Beedrill. A couple other moves that I like that Beedrill can learn are Venoshock and Poison Jab. Moving into the anime section, Beedrill debuts in Ash Catches a Pokemon. Right after Caterpie evolves into Metapod, a Beedrill flies past Misty for just a second. But its more notable appearance is in the next episode, Challenge with the Samurai. To be honest, I'm kind of getting tired of talking about this episode. I've talked about this episode 4 Professor Pokemon episodes in a row, with Metapod, Butterfree, Weedle, and Kakuna, and now 5 with Beedrill. While Ash and Samurai were having their epic Metapod battle, their battle gets interrupted by an attacking swarm of Beedrill. In all the chaos, one of them picks up Ash's Metapod and flies away with it. One thing I want to note here is that this is something that Beedrill does. It will take victims of its attacks back to its nest for food. I thought this was a kid's show. In the 4th round Rumble, a trainer named Jeanette uses a Beedrill in her battle with Ash. Beedrill gets defeated by Ash's Bulbasaur using Leech Seed. In The Bug Stops Here, Ash enters a bug catching contest. The rules in the anime slightly differ from the games. In the games, you're guaranteed to keep whatever Pokemon you catch. In the anime, only the winner can keep the Pokemon they catch. Ash captures the Beedrill in this episode, however gives it to friend and rival Casey because she's a fan of yellow-striped Pokemon, who of course thanks him by singing her song. Please stop singing, Casey. The last appearance I want to mention is Legend of Thunder. The pilot to the Pokemon Chronicles spin-off series features Jimmy, basically the gold version protagonist, using a Beedrill against Marina's Jigglypuff. He relies a lot on Beedrill's exceptional speed and agility, and eventually defeats the Jigglypuff. If I mentioned every anime appearance for Beedrill, we'd be here all day. Pretty much, if there is an episode where Ash is in a forest, he's going to run into a swarm of Beedrill. Almost a guarantee. Manga appearances. In the Electric Tail of Pikachu, Ash caught a Beedrill in Clefairy Tail. The Beedrill was part of a swarm that he had disturbed after catching a Mankey. Speaking of Beedrill and Clefairy, in the Pocket Monsters manga, Beedrill appears in Clefairy's new power. And in Pokemon Adventures, during Wake Up Your Snorlax, a swarm of angry Beedrill attacked Red because Sar, his Bulbasaur, accidentally hit their hive. Both Red and Sar got badly stung afterwards. I guess you can say they were quite Sar after that one. Please don't leave. The bad puns are done. Last major one I want to mention is Giovanni's Beedrill, seen in Golly Golem and Long Live the Nidoqueen. Giovanni uses Beedrill against Red during his gym battle. Giovanni later said that his Beedrill is one of his most treasured and strongest team members, as he caught it in his childhood in Viridian Forest. Giovanni's Beedrill also helped Yellow when facing Lance on Cerise Island in the chapter The Beedrill All and End All. And then game appearances. In Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, 2 Beedrill and 3 female Combi act as bosses of Nectar Meadow. Having misinterpreted Badu, you, and your partner as honey thieves, one of the Beedrill also helps guard Revelation Mountain from intruders. Beedrill also appears in the original Super Smash Bros. As one of the many Pokemon who can be summoned out of a Pokeball. It comes out and flies away. A few seconds later, a whole swarm flies through the stage, hurting everyone except the user. In Melee, Beedrill was replaced with Unknown. In Pokemon Stadium 2, Bugsy has a Beedrill on his team that he could potentially use on your 3-on-3 battle with him. And that concludes everything about Beedrill unless you find yourself a Beedrillite. If your Beedrill is holding the Beedrillite and you have a Keystone, then your Beedrill can evolve into Mega Beedrill. Mega Beedrill's typing remains the same, it is still Bug and Poison, however its ability changes. Mega Beedrill's ability is Adaptability, which increases stab moves from 1.5 times to 2 times damage. Okay, stab, or same type attack bonus, is where a Pokemon uses a move that is the same type as itself, the move is slightly more powerful. For example, a Poison Jab from a Poison type like Beedrill is going to do more damage than, say, coming from a Farfetch'd. Yes, Farfetch'd can learn Poison Jab through a TM. I wasn't making that scenario up. So this ability gives Mega Beedrill some extra power than normal if it uses a Bug or Poison type move. Mega Beedrill grows slightly larger too, standing at 4'7" or 1.4 meters and weighs 89.3 pounds or 40.5 kilograms. Mega Beedrill's shiny colors stay the same with a yellow-green body with blue eyes. Its stats show attack and speed looking really good. In fact, it has the highest attack and speed of all Poison-type Pokemon, However, in exchange, it also has the lowest defense of all Mega Evolved Pokemon, as well as the lowest single stat of any Mega Evolved Pokemon. Also, look at its special attack stat. Fun fact, Mega Beedrill is the only Mega Evolved Pokemon whose base special attack is lower than that of its base form, although I guess it doesn't really need a lot of special attack power with a strong physical attack like that. There's a special dex entry dedicated to Mega Beedrill in the Let's Go games. It says, its legs have become poison stingers. It stabs its prey repeatedly with the stingers on its limbs, dealing the final blow with the stinger on its rear. The stingers on its arms and legs have a fast-acting poison that is used to keep its foe from fleeing. The tail stinger has the more potent but slower acting poison, which is used to finish off the opponents. Mega Beedrill has seen a couple minor roles in the anime. One was seen in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire animated trailer battling a Mega Camerupt. And then in the Volcanion and the Mechanical Marvel movie, a Beedrill Mega evolves under the influence of the Mega Wave and battles Ash's Noivern and Greninja. It was later set free from their control when Alva's Mega Wave crystal was destroyed. And lastly, manga appearances for Mega Beedrill. In the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire saga and Pokemon Adventures, Giovanni's Beedrill is revealed to Mega Evolve. One more random fact before I go, Beedrill's name in the beta was originally spelled this way with only one L. And now for today's trivia question. This question only applies to Generation 3, 4, and 5, they fixed this in Gen 6. What Pokemon can potentially change its gender upon evolving? Come back next time to find out. Until then, this has been Professor Pokemon, and hope to teach you again soon.